this is the actual customer questions that are underneath it. What are competitors doing, and how can we make something that's better than what the rest is doing, so they find their equipment in a better way with us.
Welcome and awesome that you're watching this episode of Coen and Ecommerce. Today I'm here with a very nice guest, Thijs van Meel, Head of Product and Omnichannel at Intersport. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good, actually. It's, of course, an important week for everybody in e-commerce. It's Black Friday week, so a lot of things are happening all of the time, but was well prepared, especially related to last year. So we're quite confident that we are doing everything we can to get the most out of it. So interesting week for sure.
Well, good to know. So maybe later we dive a bit into what you guys are doing and how are you preparing for Black Friday and these hectic weeks in e-commerce. But maybe quick introduction from your side. Who are you? I already introduced you, of course. And what do you do? But maybe a bit more into depth so the viewers know who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Thijs van Meel with Intersport Digital now for a little more than 3 years. Basically, that was also the start of Intersport Digital. So basically what we are is a new business unit within the Intersport group. It's quite an old retailer, active in more than 50 countries, roughly 6,000 stores and 12 billion in revenues. It's a big old-fashioned retailer. But basically our ambition is to also take that knowledge and experience that we have in the retail segment also to the online channel. Because we definitely saw that there was lacking in some or more countries. So there was no group approach to it. And there's an opportunity there for Intersport to claim that area within the sports industry, also online. So basically we set out 3 years ago to start accomplishing that. And basically that means where normally every country does everything for itself. So Germany has its own e-commerce platform. France has the same thing, Spain as well. Some countries maybe are not doing e-commerce yet. But everybody has their own applications, their own solutions, their own look and feel, their own styling, etc. So the Intersport brand, we look at it from a digital perspective, was completely different if you cross a border.
Yeah.
So our main goal is to do away with all of the individual e-commerce products and instead offer one solution that's best in class compared to what everybody could offer individually, and also provide this uniform customer experience for all of the Intersport customers across all countries. My role there is head of product and omnichannel. Basically what you do there is basically see the service that we're offering, so both to the end consumer, but also to our internal customers, which are in our case the countries themselves who operate the business. What kind of value do they expect to get from Intersport? Do we have the right applications in place to support them with it? Do we have the right assortment, etc., for their needs? To make sure we offer, from a technology perspective, the best that is out there to suit their needs. Have a specific focus on the omnichannel part. Like I said, Intersport is a very old-fashioned retailer. So it's a very interesting opportunity to see where can we leverage this new digital e-commerce tooling to also get the stores on board and lift them to a new level on customer satisfaction.
Yeah, and so Intersport Digital it exists now for almost 3 years or 2 years?
3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years.
Our first go live was 3 years ago. Of course, it started a little bit earlier than that to start selecting systems, integrating the systems that are to be ready for the first go live. But the first go live happened 3 years ago.
Yeah. And can you maybe share a little bit like this whole group approach on the digital aspect? Like how did it impact sales online in broad lines? Did you see changes there?
Quite a lot, actually. So, of course, I already mentioned some countries did not have e-commerce at all. Some countries were already quite mature in e-commerce. So, of course, the impact is different in these cases. But overall, we see quite a big uplift, both in terms of conversion rate, but also on the costing side for the individual countries. Of course, we offer them a broad selection of tools, and because we organize that as a group and buy and integrate them once instead of everybody individually, that also means it's cheaper for everybody else to join, and they get a lot more in terms of functionality than they would be able to get for themselves. And it's both in the analytics part, what kind of functionalities are available on the website, for instance, product content, where do you get it from, and do you need to enrich it yourself, or is it being taken care of for you? So we offer both. So better performance online and lower costs on the local side.
Yeah, and since you are doing this, global approach, can you maybe share a little bit more like on the technical architecture? What kind of choices have Intersport made to work? What tools are you using for the architecture to run such a big e-commerce platform on?
Yeah. So a good thing to understand is that the countries still operate individually. So what happens in the Netherlands is they still determine the assortment that they're going to buy. They still control the warehouse that does the fulfillment. They handle the returns. Customer service is all local. And that's for every country, exactly the same situation. So basically, our platform is also a very big integration project where we say, how can we connect all of these 40 different warehouses plus 6,000 stores across many different continents into one platform? Using the local systems that are available. But as soon as we have integrated with these local providers, they should get all the functionality out of the box that they're looking for, especially when it comes to Michelle, for instance. So once we integrated, we can offer real-time stock checks. They can start shipping from store. They have double-assisted sales, which you can use in store, and all of these extended functionalities then become immediately available for them, just configuration. But making sure that all of these connection points are actually integrated, there was a huge effort and definitely an architectural challenge to get right in the beginning. We didn't get it right the first time, also not the second time, but we're definitely there now. So we're ready for more countries, more volumes, and it did require some pains, but we've learned a lot from that project along the way.
Yeah, and I know what Intersport is using in terms of the e-commerce backbone, but do you want to, can you explain a little bit what Intersport is using there on a global level?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of individual components, we use Salesforce Commerce Cloud as the commerce engine that drives basically the online sales, and we also use it as a single source of truth when we go into the stores to, for instance, have external dial applications or shipment applications there. We have BI analytics tooling. We use Minubu, Power BI, of course, Google Analytics, the Google Marketing Platform, and a diverse set of things depending on the needs. We have product enrichment. We use InRiver as product information management tool, which is also now being sort of repurposed as a global service in its own, where we manage content for the entire group, if they are on a platform or not on a platform yet. Because product content is something that everybody does. It needs the same steps. You have a product, you need to attach an image, you need to provide a translation, but as a group, we can do that once and provide everybody with the information. So there are multiple components there. Of course, also a separate order management system that's connected there. But the main concern is selecting the right applications in that platform and also assuring that the integration layer between them supports all of the volumes that we expect from all of these individual systems. Plus the different connections to the NOs, because locally they could still be using cash register systems running on Windows 95. Impossible to get data out of it, but you still want to offer the customer some way of viewing store stock online. So he knows, shall I get to the store? Can I try on my shoe there, or does it make sense or not? So we need to be really flexible in terms of using old technology, but also very modern technology, and combine these two together. So for the customer, that's not going to be a problem or a inconvenience anymore. So that's what we take care of.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. In e-commerce landscape and also with big corporations, I think there's a big trend going on in regards to like a direct to consumer proposition. I think Intersport has a lot of stores and it's a lot of franchisees that run those stores. But the reason I'm asking this because this direct to consumer proposition, like, what are your thoughts on this? It might be not that relevant for Intersport if I'm thinking out loud, but I recently learned that, for example, Heinz ketchup, they launched a e-commerce store direct to consumer for people to buy their ketchup there. And same, we're also involved with some clients doing such a transition. But can you maybe share your thoughts on it just in general? What do you think of it? What do you think of the trend? Do you also see that becoming relevant within your own company?
It is very relevant actually, and it's relevant in two ways. Of course, we sell other brands, so Nike, Adidas, whoever you can name, the big brands all on offer for Intersport, and they all, of course, also have their own direct-to-consumer strategy. And they also want to tell their story, their brand purpose, and it also has to be told through our platform when customers interact with us, through us with their brands. So of course, there's always a balance there. So what are the brands doing and what added value can we still offer? So comparison between brands, for instance, will be more and more important. And on the other side, we also develop our own products. So we have a number of brands such as McKinley, Energetics, Pro Touch that are actually being developed by Intersport themselves in Switzerland, where the head office is. Basically, that's our direct-to-consumer brand, which we at the moment offer in the Intersport stores only. So it's a brand we make just for ourselves, but we control the narrative there. So what kind of brand is it for which kind of consumer segments, what kind of performance can you expect from it, etc. So in that sense, we're also a direct-to-consumer player, although the only channel we currently sell through is our own channel.
Yeah. Okay. But do you see like a big shift there in the future, or is it
for us as Intersport?
Yeah, for you as Intersport, yeah.
There is going to be a big shift in the sense that the main strategies from the larger brands are to do more through direct consumer, their own channels, less through other retailers such as ourselves. So of course we need to find a balance there and see how can we still remain strong in that area and also work together with the brands on certain topics, maybe to both be more successful. But for us, so far it's limited, but I do expect a big shift to happen there. But we're actively engaging with all the brands themselves together to see what would be a good strategy that fits both our ambitions there.
Yeah. Okay, clear. I love these trends because I'm really obsessed to see what's happening in the retail space. And a big thing, you see becoming more and more relevant these days, and also new platforms such as TikTok is social commerce. How are you being involved with these trends in general, and are you adapting to those trends? And especially this case is social commerce.
Yeah, so starting off, e-commerce is in general a very broad topic, of course. So we mainly now talk about the website, but e-commerce is everything that you sell online. So it can be through WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram or maybe even somebody picking up the phone and saying, I want to have this article, please send it to my house. It can be any channel. It's broad, it's more than just a website. Yeah. Our main focus at the moment has been, since we're still in the startup phase, we're only 3 years old, we have a lot of catching up to do within the Intersport group, mostly on getting our website up and running, plus the supporting channels, for instance, in the store, extended aisle functionality, etc. Then, of course, locally, a lot of things are already happening through different social channels. So advertisements, for instance, on different social media platforms is definitely picking up on one of the most important growth areas. When it comes to social commerce directly, it's still something we are uncovering how to handle that in the best way. We have quite a big product assortment, so it's 100,000 of SKUs that we need to push out to the market. It's difficult to find a suitable way of getting that sent out to the customer in the right way, to the right channel. Yeah. So something we're struggling with, not something that's fully operational on our side yet, but definitely something that we're looking into at the moment.
Yeah, because I personally find it pretty fascinating that actually the content you consume on social media channels, just takes example as a TikTok, for example, based upon your behavior on that platform, you get a recommendation of products. And I think, me personally, I find that a very interesting opportunity and very curious to see where that goes the coming years.
Definitely, I think that's the big question. I think for us is indeed our initial purpose was generally allow customers to evaluate different sort of brands, different products with each other to make the best decision that fits their needs the best. And it's different to a very personal targeted approach where you basically say, I think I know you as a customer. I'm going to present you this shoe or this shirt because I believe it's the best for you. So it will be a balance. I think some people are indeed screaming almost that social commerce will be the only thing that's available out there within now or 3 years. I really don't believe that, because there will always be a customer segment that will like to see all of the products within the offering and make that selections themselves. So it's also a matter of which customers are on which channels, but you need to support all customers in it.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is it's like it's part of the omni-channel e-commerce strategy. Like on what channels are you currently selling products on? Brings me also then maybe to the next point, is what I'm also seeing with clients we're working with. This having a proper marketplace strategy, and then you're thinking of selling on Amazon, bol.com, you name it, and you can be on there these days with just a plugin. What is Intersport actually on any of those platforms as of today?
Yeah, it depends per country. So there's no uniform strategy around it. For instance, Germany is very active in that area, because in Germany itself, I think most sales just happen through Amazon. But they also present their product offering on Amazon and use that as a platform to sell more. On the other side, Intersport themselves is also a platform where individual retailers, which have the Intersport brand or not, can also present their products on intersport.de, for instance, and they can also sell through the Intersport as a sports platform. So basically a little bit competing with Amazon, but most of the traffic, of course, still goes through Amazon and Germany. Yeah. It's a little bit of a mixture, but between different channels and where you can get access to which products there. But it's a very interesting development indeed. And I think a lot of people are looking to Germany now to see, okay, what's going to happen there, and how successful is that model. It's been very successful during the Corona phase, actually, because it did allow individual retailers to sort of keep their head above the waters, because they were still able to start selling online, which they didn't do before. They were able to ship from the store, which they weren't able to do before, and it allowed them to pay their rent and at least stay in business. So I think that's a good opportunity for both. But it's an interesting development there, and I think a lot of countries are looking towards Germany to see is that a good approach, and also us as Intersport, how do we feel about it from a global perspective? And should we have a global strategy for that? Because individually, Intersport is every country can have their own vision, their own mission, their own strategy when it comes to certain aspects. Yeah. But it's also something that's, of course, being taken a look at. So how do we want to move forward together and become stronger together if we work more together? Yeah.
And becoming more stronger together, I think is super important, and brings me then again to another point I'm curious to hear your thoughts on. So where, for example, if you look at competitors, how do you stay on top? How does Intersport stay on top of their game? Although you just started 3 years ago approximately with the whole rollout. Like what are your thoughts on that? Like how are you able to still move fast?
Yeah, that's a topic we're always struggling with, to be honest, because we are a global platform. So we are live in a number of different countries, but the customers and the needs and the supports in different countries are completely different. So in one country, Intersport can be a price competitor, only offering mostly running shoes and like that sport category. Some countries more about skiing, of course. France and Austria, that's a big rental market. Everybody who goes skiing and rents equipment rents it at the Intersport store that's at the bottom of the cart that will take you up. Yeah. And of course, you have to be really also very local to be successful there. That's always the balance. Do we develop a platform and offer functionality to the global group and everybody should be able to use it? Or do we really want to target specific areas and specific categories? And we're moving to the latter more and more. There's Norway, Austria, skiing is there, especially important, but not just skiing like we know it, but you have there mountaineering, alpine skiing, all different sort of sports. And it's really specific what people do there. And also the equipment that they need for it is really specific. Right. That enable customers to really, particularly for the sport category, find what is the best ski for me, what kind of binding does go with it the best, what kind of shoe do I need with it, depending on my skill level, depending on the actual tours that I intend to make. And we're doing that more and more. So we do develop these tools, the guided selling tools, to really be a winner in those individual category. And per category, we decide, okay, this market is relevant. This is the actual customer questions that are underneath it. What are competitors doing? And how can we make something that's better than what the rest is doing? So they find their equipment in a better way with us. Yeah. And that's our sort of comparison model again. So we allow you to compare the best products for your needs. And we have to be more local than we were before.
Yeah, so although the platform is operating on a global scale, you operate locally, basically.
We do have to operate locally, and it's we started out from a global perspective. So everything we did was supposed to be usable in all of the countries. That's also how we started. For the first 2 or 3 countries, I think that worked quite well. But then you already run into things like, I don't know, different ways of shipping or different ways of paying or different specific category product attributes that are important, which we're not on the platform yet. There's a lot of things that you uncover when you go to more and more countries, and also the perception that not everything is global. You still have to be local to be successful in that individual market.
Yep. And we talked a bit about the trends already, but how do you stay involved in trends? And a little add-on on that question is that what do you currently see is like the biggest trend in e-commerce?
How do you stay on top of it? Well, of course, keeping up with the news. So there's a number of Google alerts you can set for interesting topics, for interesting competitors to see what they are doing. There's a number of conferences that you can enjoy, attend. That's how you stay on top of it a little bit. And there's also more of the internally focused, maybe, topics where how can you grow as an organization? So what kind of positions do you have? How do you collaborate together? What is the role of a head of product? What is the role of a product owner? What's the role of a customer experience manager, for instance? So how can you be more efficient as an internal organization to better achieve the goals? Of all of these, I think it's mostly personal interest. So how do you want to grow as a person yourself within your role? And part responsibility of the organization itself. So how can we get external insights into our group to make the best decisions? And for that, we have strategic partnerships with, for instance, Google, provided with very detailed information about certain markets, certain categories, certain trends that are not accessible to anybody just out there. And that really helps us get the best knowledge from all of the local markets and also the global trends. So we can use them to make decisions on how do we prioritize our work and our efforts to move towards that trend. So that's a way of keeping tabs on it. Big trends oncoming are, of course, social commerce. I think a year ago it was voice-assisted sales. Everything had to be voice-assisted. You had to completely rebuild your websites to be aligned with question and answer sort of rhetoric. I think social will be the next part. We experiment with it, but we take it slow because I don't believe that customers will change their habits completely within 1 or 2 years. So you need to, of course, know what's going on, understand what's happening there. But you don't have to be, at least we don't have to be the first one always in that area. Also because our current customers not per se the most advanced. So we have a couple of younger groups, millennials, but by far our biggest customer base is simply 30, 40 years plus. Not so prone to change their habits that fast as other ones.
Yeah, clear. And in regards to, you already said it at the beginning when we started, Black Friday, busy week. Cyber Monday, I think, is also following up on that. Maybe not so relevant for retailers, more electronics, but how do you prepare for that?
A number of things. So previous experiences, of course. So it's always when a large amount of orders are being pushed through the systems will start cracking at some point anyway. And it can be it can be the courier delivering the packages on time. It can also be accepting the orders, fulfilling the orders, giving customers accurate updates of the orders. So we have the previous experience of last Black Friday, where a lot of learnings we've gathered and projected growth in sales. We know what to do in terms of technology. Of course, the start of Corona for us has been a very learnful second Black Friday, actually, within a few months compared to the previous Black Friday, because we were in a really good category. So as soon as everybody went to lockdown, trampolines, ping pong tables. Everybody started buying a lot of stuff to keep themselves busy and keep their children busy. So for us, from a digital perspective, there was a really good area. And so we also used those learnings we had there to prepare for this Black Friday peak. But it's also understanding a little bit of what kind of categories would run well in this period. So it's November, December. People are starting to make New Year's resolutions. What would it look like? Has the world changed indeed? And do people do different sports than they were doing a year before when we had the previous Black Friday? So you really need to keep tabs on that. And we rely a lot on the local insights there. So from the Netherlands, from Spain, from Austria, they really know what's happening in their markets, of course. They need to tell us what they see happening. And together we can then conform the platform accordingly. Of course, a lot of technology decisions need to be made. So how can we ensure at least stable, scalable systems at all times? And then the commercials can come on top of it.
Yeah, very interesting. And since we're already nearing our time, because time flies by so fast, do you maybe have some tips for someone who is just starting out in the e-commerce space? Do you have some tips for someone who is just starting out?
There can be a number of tips. It's also personal preference. Myself, I always like to understand things really well. So being really hands-on. So if you start out, start reading about SEO, but also start implementing some things. See if that helps and what works, what doesn't. Same for online advertising. Same for merchandising, very important aspect, but most of the time forgotten. So which products you actually display on your online website, which ones go first and whatnot. And it's very easy to just think about it and know that merchandising is important. But if you've never really been involved in the hands-on merchandising, it's difficult to also compare solutions that might help you do it better, or how you can combine it with different sets of data to offer better solutions. To really be hands-on and try something. You'll probably not be the best in terms of value for the amount of money you put into it, but it will give you a lot of experience. The other part is I hope that everybody has a senior person within their organization that does know how it's done or has done it before. I think it's really important to have that knowledge transfer from somebody who's already done it a number of times or a couple of years and is more senior positions to somewhere that's more junior. So find somebody within your organization that can teach you how to do it or explain to why things you've tried do work or don't work. There's a lot of content available on the internet. So there's a lot of people, really thought leaders on the topic. Is it agile development or is it search engine optimization, online marketing? Start following them on LinkedIn, for instance. They always post very interesting content that you can look at. So find these people and really start following them. For instance, conversion rate optimization is a very hot topic as well. A lot more technology is becoming available, but there's also a lot more people sharing the results from their A/B tests, for instance, that they've done before.
Yeah.
So really find out which area do you want to grow in, what are sort of the gaps that you still have as an e-commerce manager, and really start investing your time into learning more about these topics.
Yeah, and maybe a final question. What brand do you currently look up to?
Brand do I currently look up to? That's a good question. Yeah, there can be so many different answers to it.
Well, maybe it's a too good question that you don't have an answer for it.
No, I think the obvious one a lot of people will say is likely Nike, for instance, because they have a very strong set of who they want to be and what kind of customers do they actually want to attract. And the statements that go out of it, it's a little bit too easy to say Nike. So I was thinking about different topics there. Yeah. But really having a purpose and don't be afraid to lose customers because of that. I think that's a really strong brand.
Gymshark?
Gymshark, I've seen it passing by a number of times, but honestly, I'm not too aware of what they all offer. But I think the guy is very energetic and he likes to do a lot of things.
I find them interesting because they solely work on a direct-to-consumer proposition, only online. That's it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they do already some stuff offline now, but I find it pretty fascinating what they have built in less than 10 years. I think it is. Yeah. Billion pound brand.
Didn't know that. That's interesting growth. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really crazy growth. What they experienced. Yeah, and maybe since it maybe was a too good question to give a straight answer to straight away. You already mentioned something about resources to follow. Do you have someone you currently are following regarding conversion or something else?
Yeah, but I don't remember his name at the moment.
Okay.
But I think within the Netherlands, I think he's now sort of the most outspoken person. He's at ISME company. He usually gives keynotes at all the Dutch conferences around e-commerce. But he shares regular updates about A/B tests that they've run or learnings that they have about the model that they use to set it up. So especially for conversion rate optimization, if you're in the Netherlands, I think that's a very good starting point. And then it depends on the topic, who else you want to follow.
Yeah, but maybe if you can look that person up, I will put it in the description for people to look
I
at.
remember now. It's Jurjen Jongejan.
Jongejan?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
90% sure.
90% sure. We will double check and make sure you get that information. Alrighty. Yeah. I think we can go on for many more hours, but the time is up for this episode. So I really would like to thank you for being here, for sharing your know-how and sharing how the Intersport organization works digitally wise. So thank you for that. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. Until next week.
Bye.